Hello and welcome to this edition of Kildare Update. I'm Noel Shannon. As part of her historic visit to Ireland recently, Queen Elizabeth II visited Kildare on Thursday. The Queen visited the Irish National Stud in Kildare town and Giltown Stud in Kilcullen. In glorious sunshine, the lily-white county was put on the world stage as the enormity of this visit hit home with local people. We joined the large media presence for the Queen's historic visit, and we begin our coverage with some images of the dignitaries and local people who turned out at the Irish National Stud to welcome Queen Elizabeth. A large crowd of dignitaries gathered in the National Stud in anticipation of the arrival of Queen Elizabeth and her husband Prince Philip. Security was on high alert throughout the course of the visit. A salute of 4 horses and riders from the Army Equitation School awaited the Queen on her arrival. Queen Elizabeth and the Duke of Edinburgh were greeted by Miss Chris O'Reilly, Chair of the Board of the National Stud, as well as CEO of the National Stud, John Osborne. The Queen was also introduced to apprentices and alumni of Race Academy by top jockey Johnny Murtha, before meeting students and masters from the Irish Farriery School and the students of the Stud Management course. John Osborne then escorted the Queen to the stallion yard, where she met with a descendant of one of her own mares, Jeremy, Amadeus Wolfe, and Invincible Spirit. Mr. Jim Draper then introduced the Queen to a group with links to the famous Arkle, beside the Stud's Museum, and later the trainers of some of the 13 Irish-trained 2011 Cheltenham winners. The Queen also unveiled a sculpture dedicated to the champion thoroughbred racehorse See the Stars, designed by artist Anthony Scott. And finally, a bouquet of flowers was presented to the Queen by 8-year-old Emma Osborne before her departure. Some images there of the Queen's visit to the National Stud in Kildare town. Well, afterwards, we spoke to some of those people who were lucky enough to meet the Queen at very close quarters. We begin by speaking to Anthony Scott, a local sculptor who created a piece dedicated to the Irish thoroughbred champion See the Stars.
Well, the origin of the piece came from, I received a brief concerning Colonel William Hall Walker, who set up the stud in 1900, and he was obsessed with the zodiac, and he selected the foals by virtue of their birth signs. So I had the idea, and on the stables in 1900, they all had glass ceilings so the horses could see the night sky, which is still preserved today in the glass windows in the stabling there. So I had the idea of the horse inside the sphere, which just represents the night sky and the earth, looking up at the stars of the constellation. It's made of bronze, cast bronze. It's using the lost wax process, and I'm at the top half out of wax carved into it, and then the bottom bronze welded, joined together, and the names of the zodiac are on the side were to create that wonderful, just that dynamic hit, visual hit when you look at the piece. And so that's essentially it. And the beauty of it is when you get even a beautiful sunny day, these little store points, the light is then creates this wonderful dappled effect on the inside of the piece.
Can you tell us what Her Majesty said to you?
It was quite a brief conversation, but at the same time she was very fascinated. She said it was very ingenious, that was it, and the piece, so that was very sweet to get that kind of praise from Her Royal Majesty. And no, she looked inside, she thought, because she would have presumed her grandfather who visited here in 1911 would have been friendly with Colonel Walker, so there is that connection, so there's that history, so it's like closing of the circle, so to speak, coming back to see a piece inspired by Colonel Walker. So
thank you very much, it's really nice and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Anthony Scott there, a local sculptor who dedicated a piece to the Irish champion thoroughbred See the Stars. Johnny Murtha needs no introduction as one of Ireland's leading jockeys. Johnny Murtha met Queen Elizabeth at very close quarters and was one of those people who welcomed her to the National Stud. Johnny spoke to Kildare TV about the importance of Irish racing on a global scale.
Well, to me it was brilliant to see the Queen over here in Ireland in the Irish National Stud. I've met her a couple of times in Royal Ascot. When it's great meeting the Queen in Royal Ascot because it usually means you win a big race. So it's great to meet her there, but it's extra special to meet her here in Ireland, the Irish National Stud. You know, I love this place. I live only a couple of miles up the road, and for me to represent race, you know, race is where it all started for me. I didn't have any background in horses, and came to race as a 15-year-old, and the whole thing is just marvellous. And for Kildare, the Queen has come to the Irish National Stud. You know, people now maybe from England or Europe coming over, they might say, well, the Queen has visited here, we might go and see that place. So I think it could generate a lot of interest in this place from people who are coming over to visit Ireland. And I tell, even the apprentices in apprentice school, if you're Irish and you're working with horses, you have a job anywhere in the world. I've been to America, I've been to Japan, I've been to Australia, I've been to Dubai, and there's always Irish people there. So it's huge. And the industry itself, sure, like there's so many people working in racing, and we can say we're good at different things, but we're the best in the world at horse racing. All the top jockeys in Cheltenham, all the top jockeys in Royal Ascot, all top trainers, top owners. Like we have all that. Like it's not just, we're just not saying it. It's there. It's proven. It's proven that we are the best in the world at racing, and maybe we underestimate. Maybe racing itself take it for granted. We don't maybe look on it enough and see. Well, listen, but the stats are there. We are the best in the world. Sometimes we don't believe it ourselves.
Leading Irish jockey Johnny Murtha there. Next we spoke to John Osborne, the Chief Executive Officer of the Irish National Stud. John told us how much of an honour it was to have Queen Elizabeth as his guest of honour.
I found myself last night saying, I've never been in the Trinity Library, and I've never been in Island Bridge, and you say, I'm going to go there. So I think people are going to want to come and visit here, and they know we're open for business, as is the catchphrase of the moment. But this audience is huge. This is a global audience. This is people all over the world, by the million looking in. And I think we got a really nice day. I think we showcased it as well as we possibly could. And it has to have a positive spin-off. People are going to stop off here and they're going to see what else we have to offer. It's unfortunate that because of time constraints and security constraints that the visit wasn't, let's say, broader, but it was always going to be a difficulty. But this is the first visit, and it may be the start of subsequent visits. It certainly has cemented the strong relationships between the two countries, and that's going to be a positive spin-off in our biggest market. I was delighted. It was a wonderful day from sun up, as they say, and we had a beautiful morning, and the rain held off, and the visitors were wonderful company and were enthusiastic and seemed to enjoy it and interacted brilliantly with everybody. The Queen really enjoyed the Arkle pod where she met some old friends, and she was brilliant. And then she loved watching the stallions and chatting about them. And one of her stallions is actually from one of her families. Our stallion called Jeremy is a descendant of one of her greatest mares called Highclere. So she's very interested in him, and he put on a bit of a display for her by going up on his hind legs, as I thought he might, but we got away with that too. And the place looks fabulous, and it was the culmination of a lot of hard work by a lot of people. But we were set a pretty tough task to emulate what's happened yesterday and the day before. But I think we might just hang in there. I think we did okay.
John Osborne there, the CEO of the Irish National Stud, concluding the interviews to mark the visit to Kildare of Queen Elizabeth II and her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh. We hope you enjoyed our coverage. Thank you for watching, and until the next time, goodbye for now.
My name is Sergeant Jim Malloy, and I'm from the Garda Press and Public Relations Office. Obviously, as anybody who was around Dublin or around Kildare over the last couple of days could see, this was a major Garda operation with upwards of 8,000 Garda members on duty 24 hours a day. A significant Garda operation, and we're very pleased with how it went, and we're getting very positive feedback from the public about it. And we particularly like to thank the public for their patience during the operation. We know it wasn't easy at times. We kept people waiting, closed roads, and we'd like to thank people in Kildare particularly. We accept that people have a right to protest, and as long as they protest within the law, we're happy enough. But I mean, if you break the law, we'll have to deal with you. And obviously we had to arrest a certain number of people, but it was very manageable. It was small numbers of people involved. We're quite pleased. I mean, we had no security issue, no major security issues. We think we limited disruption to traffic to the minimum, and we're quite pleased with how it went. Our feeling is that the public seemed to react very positively. Now, the feedback for our organisation, for the Guards, has been that we handled it very well, and people are positive about the traffic plan. But we think in general people appear to be positive about the whole visit.
And are you expecting a similar reaction to Obama's visit?
Yeah, we don't expect any significant trouble. It's a 24-hour visit. The traffic plans will be made available within the next couple of hours for over the weekend, and again, we're trying to minimise disruption, and again, we'd like to just thank the public for their patience, and hopefully it'll be an enjoyable and incident-free visit.